In a recent video, I posed a couple questions, kind of shared aloud what I was thinking. I was thinking, I wonder if we can see a 30,000 number for NIO in the month of January. I also was wondering if we could see 20,000 ES8s delivered in the month of January. Now, the answer to both of those was no. And we're going to talk about that data in just a minute. Also, why I think we've got some hidden gems to look forward to, and that might have been part of why we didn't see bigger numbers, but we still saw an almost doubling year over year from the January numbers last year in 2025 to this year, 2026. I am personally pretty happy with that. But let's talk about, I've got a number of things queued up actually. Let's start here. NIO, and this is posted late on January 31st, 2026, but this is NIO completing delivery of the 60,000th refresh ES8. The speed with which NIO has been able to deliver this premium vehicle is crazy. The price point and the vehicle margins, I think, are going to be exciting to learn about when we get the earnings, probably in March. And then also moving forward into the end of the year, can NIO come in with anywhere near this kind of tempo on the delivery side? Can they maintain something like this in just 134 days, 60,000? That's crazy. And frankly, I think they can slow down and still be impressing and opening eyes in this year of 2026. Just if they can keep up the excitement around this vehicle and continue to get deliveries out. So that's my thought on that. There are two different places on the NIO site that you can pull the data up. And the newsroom, actually, this is the first one. So I wanted to share it because this, I don't think, had the breakdown across the three models. So what I did is I went to the investor relations and looked at it that way. And this is what it looks like when I pull that up. And there are a couple things to highlight here. First off, and to get a little more specific, I had asked the question in that recent video, could we see a 20,000 number just for the ES8s? I'm pretty sure we did not see that because the deliveries for the NIO brand were barely over or barely under 21,000, and that's for all of the NIO deliveries. So then you've got 3481 from Onvo. This is the number that I want to come back to a little bit later. 2807, 2,807 is the number of Firefly deliveries for the month. Now, the reason I am not upset, and I actually started thinking about this right away, is I thought, I wonder how many Fireflies have been exported or sent out in December and January from NIO into new regions, territories, countries. And in fact, if you'll look up here, I don't know if you can see this. Hang on, let me check and see. If you can't see it on screen, I will link it in the description along with everything that I share in this video, because the screen we're looking at right now, which you can get to by going to the nio.com website, and then you can click on either Firefly or subbrand. When you click Onvo, they're both subbrands. If you click on Firefly, the link is firefly.world. And that matters. It's exactly what I was wondering about, is the expansion of NIO globally. I want to go back and a couple of things here. There's a little cadence here I'd like to share. November 18th is when this was shared about NIO with Firefly, that sub-brand, and the first right-hand drive models heading to Singapore and going to Singapore. And that was, again, November 18th, 2025. Now, if you go to the Firefly news site within the NIO website, you'll see that Firefly is to serve as the pioneer for the global expansion, and the plans are to expand cumulatively into up to 40 countries and regions worldwide. So Firefly is a really important piece of the NIO global growth. And I'm not done. We've got more. I'm sorry, wait, let me go back. I didn't share the date on that. The date this was shared was January 8th, 2026. So we've got that November announcement. We've got January 8th. And now this is as of February 1st. NIO Firefly begins deliveries of right-hand drive cars in Singapore. So they've already started. And it says basically, and I'll link because that article didn't pull up, and it'll take you to a different spot to the CNAV post. And so, shout out to them for sharing that. Um, but I'll link that so that you can check out the article for yourselves. This is also, I think, an important piece. The infrastructure and having the swap stations available in more areas. And so that's why I've highlighted this part. 60 stations now open across 5 countries. That expansion, part of the hurdle with that, and one of the reasons it took a while for Europe to accept, or for more countries to enable NIO to build the power swap stations, was regulations. That's one of the big hurdles and things that slows things down. Now, this is something I want to track moving forward because, again, this is consistent with the global expansion, the footprint, and even how, let's say, Firefly can operate with the different gen level stations. Which ones will it be able to swap from or through, and how is that all going to look moving forward? Something worth tracking, I think. But as we continue, and all I've done is I've just highlighted, we've got Hungary now, and you see obviously Firefly is here. If we move on, we've also got NIO with their announcement, and going into Singapore, which we've already talked about. Uzbekistan, I actually think that it's NIO and Onvo that are going to be sent to Uzbekistan. I'm not sure if Firefly is. Costa Rica, I still haven't seen an update on, but that's one that's kind of fun for me being in the US. I'm like, hey, am I going to need to shoot down to Costa Rica and try and pick myself up a Firefly? I don't know. Maybe. Uh, we'll see what happens. But then we've got NIO expanding its European rollout, starting distribution in Portugal, Greece, Cyprus, Bulgaria, and Denmark. And for these, I believe they are doing NIO and Firefly. I don't think Onvo is going to go. But again, the recurring theme here is Firefly is a huge piece of the NIO global expansion. How about more partners into Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Hungary, Luxembourg, Poland, and Romania? And now I'd like to kind of tie this together. Let's go back. And I want to point this out. I mentioned the number of deliveries of Firefly in the month of January, 2807, 2,807 is the number. Well, in December, NIO delivered over 7,000. I know that there have been months where they have done, 5,000, 6,000. I didn't pull that data specifically. I'll probably look now after the fact, but the point is this: if they're sending several thousand vehicles out to these different regions as they've been doing this, and obviously in the case of Singapore, we have validation that they sent some models out, and it was end of year and early into this year of 2026. So my thinking, and why I originally started thinking about this after I looked at the numbers for NIO, and I saw that they hadn't got to the 30,000 number, but I also saw, and part of that I think was the ES8 not getting to 20,000, which frankly is fine. If they're sending some of these vehicles over to these expansion countries, I think that's actually the smarter play. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because Chinese New Year is a time when a lot is going to be shut down. And frankly, the best play for NIO within the country of China is the power swap stations, which they already have in place. And I think those numbers are going to be huge. But outside of China, they have the opportunity to get sales during a time frame where the China sales are going to be lower, and that's industry wide. So that's why I was curious and thinking, gosh, I wonder if the Firefly numbers are quite a bit lower than they were or would have been. And maybe the reason is NIO is shipping more of those out into this, ongoing expansion into new countries, regions of the globe. So I actually just want to thank you for sticking around to the end, because I knew this would be a little bit longer video. I would have to get through all this and kind of share my thoughts with this. But not only am I very happy with the numbers on the delivery side of January, almost a double from last year, but also seeing that they have gotten so many of the ES8s out so fast, knowing that those numbers are going to be exciting to see, knowing we've got the ES9 queued up and announcements coming in April. And then also just the positioning of NIO, the fact that I think Firefly can really put them on the map globally outside of China. And then in China, I like that they were able to get a strong delivery number in January to start this quarter off. Normally, that first quarter is challenging because of Chinese New Year. And so we'll see how that all impacts things and how the swap numbers look during that Chinese New Year. But really, I just hope NIO is able to, I think it would be nice too, and I haven't seen consistent numbers from the different countries where they have been delivering, so it's really hard to gauge that, but I think this is an opportunity, and they saw it as such with Chinese New Year and a lot of China being shut down. They decided to go ahead and, send some batches of vehicles out to some of these other countries. Obviously, as I shared and stated before, Singapore, they're already delivering as of February 1st, 2026. So, I'm frankly more than happy to see that. And I hope that this was a strategic, deliberate move on the part of Neo, but I'm still happy with the numbers. So that's my take and my thought. I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. I know people were all over the place with our numbers and our expectations for the month. And part of this is frankly, it's hard now that we don't have the weekly data or a resource that is, eh, providing data that is consistent enough that, I'll consider it credible, which is why I stopped doing the weekly videos or the weekly numbers. But you know what? It's all good. I mean, we still get to track things. We get the monthly numbers, and I just want Neo to continue doing what they're doing, executing and delivering a phenomenal product and service. So let's see what the next couple of months will hold. We'll have more data coming later this week. I'm recording this, by the way, it's February 1st. It's Sunday. It is the kind of early mid evening. It's about 4 p.m. Central Time as I'm recording this. I will drop the video as soon as I can once I get it done. And I'll create chapters or timestamps since it's a longer video and to make it a little more convenient for those who don't want to watch or listen all the way through. So you can just jump around or reference back to things if you want in the future. So thanks for sticking around to the end. Have a great day or night. Whenever you see this, I'll see y'all again very soon.